Ronald Grantorius III.
Here I am.
Welcome back to the Long and Thick podcast. Lucky number 13.
Hey-o.
Where you're fully injured, often immobile, crusty little stepbrothers help you navigate the noise and cut through the bullshit in the health and wellness space. We are in injuries, part 2.
Mm-hmm.
You are now injured. I am now injured.
Nice. Welcome.
Someone is injured.
Welcome, brother.
Thanks, man. Welcome to the club. But yes, it is. You absolutely know you have an injury.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do?
Okay. So I think helpful to give a real life example. I will provide now. Ready,
Thank you.
Set,
My wholesome,
begin.
my wholesome provider. I'm sitting here waiting to suckle the teat of Providence.
Last injury that I feel like I really had that I actively went through these steps that we'll lay out for you here was with my right knee. So maybe for the last 4 years or so, excluding this past January, me and at least one other friend, Corb, would do 10,000 kettlebell swings in the month of January. And so it ended up being like 330 something a day. At least if you missed a day, boy, were you going to fucking go to town the next. And we were like,
The group chat would haze you.
Oh yeah. It's good stuff and terrible stuff. We continued some of that as the group grew, and we did a squat version that was 100 squats a day for the month of, I don't know, March or whatever it was.
Body weight or with load?
Whatever you want. So you could.
What did you want?
I did on a slant board.
Okay.
Very high heels elevated.
Yeah. Lots of acute knee angle on top of it. I can see where this is going.
Very, very steep knee angle. It's almost like Spanish squats with like 135.
Oh, okay.
And so at first it was like just barely getting through. Like I would part it out. And then by the end, I would get through it. But maybe 2/3 of the way in, I had some pretty gnarly right knee funk. And yeah, this is no surprise. This heavily is, clarified and confirmed by what we were talking about earlier. My knee, my joint, the connective tissue, all of the things that make up the system of me in that part of me, we're not able to deal with that. Especially doing 100 a day, you get the picture. So initially I was like, okay, I'm feeling some like weird sharpness. I'm feeling like a little bit of instability, in particular when I would get back down into that squat position and really like ass on the board, like just a hair off in a pretty deep squat, especially for such a long fuck like me. And it really wasn't going away. So I started doing some knee cars. I would like explore some isometric stuff and see what was exacerbating the symptoms outside of just sitting in that position. And it really wasn't much. And so I was like, okay, maybe there's something else. I did a couple like meniscus self-tests and then was like, hey, I work with a bunch of doctors. Why don't I ask one of them to just run some ortho tests on me and just take their own inventory of what's going on. So I had Dr. Nick, my colleague, run me through those tests and nothing was remarkable, meaning we didn't find anything in recreating pain with Thessaly or any of these other tests. And eventually we were sort of landing on like having like a plica, which is like a little bit of, we'll call it shit, just like in that space, just to keep it simple. Yeah, we were like, it's sort of that. Not really anything to do about it. It's not like a load it more or whatever. You just sort of deal with it.
Sure.
But I just kept loading it and playing with it and exploring different things. And probably the most profound thing in clearing it up was doing really fucking heavy, like 45-degree knee single leg isometrics. So in the ear or eye of the listener, it's really important to get assessed if you are past, what would you say, like a 48-hour window of no like.
Well, yeah, I think it's good to establish. So that injury is something would be for, again, easy filing sense is going to be closer to something like a tendonitis, tendinopathy, overuse rigor scenario. So that didn't just manifest all at once. It was kind of a slow creep. And then before you knew it, you're like, this fucking sucks. Whereas other people's injuries are going to be more acute. It's going to come all at once. So I think the most important thing for anyone and our listeners is that one, if it just happened, you're like, okay, how did it happen? Is it an injury that just happened in the sense of like the type? So what was the origin of it? Did it just slowly manifest and it just became part of your day to day? Or is it like a slow burn? Did the origin happen all at once? We're like, oh, I just definitely tweaked something, tore something. You would know if you actually had a full on tear, trust me. But most people like to elevate the idea of a strain into tear in an imaginative sense.
True.
But yes, absolutely is figuring out, is this something that needs attention? Is it getting worse as it persists? Is it interfering with my day-to-day life in a really demonstrable way? And then, yes, you need to have someone else assess. And Ronnie, it's very convenient because he is an assessor himself and is surrounded by very adept practitioners. So he has that. But for most of listeners, or myself included, I would have to go and be like, hey, this part of me is now very shitty. This is what I was doing. And you have to just basically establish the whole dossier of what the injury is. You know, how did it happen? How bad is it? Is it fixable on my own? Do I need professional help?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well said, per usual Daniel fashion. Yeah, I think in you sharing some of those things, it just really highlights how complementary your ailment is, because it really is important to establish a clear picture to deeply understand, you know, what's going on. And some of the things that we'll touch on that really help you get out of this injured space are part of the factors that led into you and your likelihood of being there in the first place.
Sure. Yeah, it's a nice little bell curve. It's like, I am doing these things. It got really shitty in pursuit of those things, but I have to re-pursue those things.
Yep.
You know, we touched on the death loop, but there's also a life loop as well.
Yes, we love that.
And I just kind of made that up on the fly. I did not know if we were going to try it on for size.
New tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of, this is totally unrelated, but
same thing. Viewers, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Daniel's rocking some beautiful art.
Yeah, my neighbor's toddler daughter had a birthday today.
Heyo.
And I am rocking a pretty beastly hot dog tattoo with the word cool cursived in mustard.
That's right.
Anyway, not to digress. But yeah, it's the body and its marvelous nature can just be reaccustomed to what hurt it to heal it, which is awesome. I mean, shit, that's even how fucking vaccines work, but let's not get too deep in the rabbit hole.
Oh my God. Edit. HR, someone help.
I know. Just canceled immediately. So, again, so you had to revamp all of that.
Yep.
You worked out your knee.
Yep. I'm
bonkered
good.
your knee.
Yes.
But you had to rework out the knee to fix it.
Yes. Yeah.
So you had to even out the forces.
Yep.
What other things have you had happen to you that you could then use it as a confidence building mechanism with your clients?
Yeah. So there's one other thing that comes to mind when I was thinking about recent injury is I had a really bizarre like SI joint thing, which is probably somewhat influenced from I had fractured my tailbone, like a piece chipped off snowboarding. I fell on like just like ice and it fucking
nuked the booty.
Dude, some ice wizard just sent it through my fucking tail, and that was crazy.
Watch out for those ice wizards.
Dude, they're out there. I swear, guys. I swear I've seen them. I was doing jujitsu, God, a little while ago. I forget when. I don't care about the timeline. And rolling, maybe like whatever, the third time that week, next morning I wake up and it felt like someone hit me with a bat, just like straight along my right SI joint. That's sacroiliac. So think like the top left nook of your butt. Like we're almost in your butt crack, but not quite there. That's the spot. And I felt like someone just again with the bat. I don't know my fixation with this. If you're listening to compared to the last episode,
you owe money somewhere.
I guess,
They're
dude.
coming.
Someone's gonna get me. It's not an ice wizard this time. I've already paid my dues to that fuck. This one was a little bit more like, okay, there's really not much to do about this except let your body heal and also normalize some of the pain and motion.
Sure.
I mean, it was fucking excruciating to sit.
Hey.
And so
the tuchus.
you're cooking. All that to say, like whatever your path is to get back to a baseline, there is a path. And people like myself and Daniel can help you navigate that. And it will look different for everybody. The reason we skipped the timeline of recovery of injury in the last episode, and I will hammer this in again right now, is because it is so individual and so much of your perception and fucking socioeconomics. I mean, all of the things that influence your reality understanding are part of your bouncing back and, segue into a performative and blissful state. What are like some of the most common things that you can break down watching it happen? You've alluded to some of it in the past episode with deadlifting. What are things that you see and have helped people go through injury wise in training
Sure.
that you can shed some light on?
Yeah. I mean, the common ones are going to be low back, inner thigh, and somewhere in the trap necks levator like complex. Anything that's going to have the legs under load or have the knees widen is going to start recruiting the adductors, and that's just, it has a high likelihood, especially as people fatigue. I can tell you from my own experience too, I've had adductor tweaks on lunges, and it's just, you want to get them over with. You start losing focus. You start losing certain bracing and rigidity. Your knee starts to go out a little bit too wonky, externally rotated, and then boom, you just get a muscle strain. And you're like, well, fuck, here we are. And I've had clients doing heavy lunges as well, and they have like a really great ascension through their progressive overload program. And it happened semi-recently. A gentleman I was training, I mean, he was doing some heavy lunges. He was crushing it, and it was his last set. And I told him, because I could see he just wanted to get through it, and he was dropping into his lead foot a little more aggressively because he just wanted to rush through it. And I was like, dude, chill, like slow this one down, because the minute you start to get aggressive, you're going to get an adductor tweak. Next rep. He's like, oh, I was like, why'd I have to say anything? And again, it's from my own experience, both with the human body, muscle performance, just being a personal trainer. It helps to immediately get ahead of it. If I were just to throw my hands up, be like, oh, I don't know what happened, or start apologizing or anything like that, it's going to completely shift the frame and make it feel more dire for that person. It's going to feel shitty in the moment. But the best course that I have is, okay, I can see the origin. I can see what caused it. I can see that it's probably severe for them at the time. But if I just looked around and be like, oh God,
You'd
like
disappear.
they would just probably just be like, what the hell did this person do to me? And how am I so fucked? And it's really simple just to be like, all right, listen, I know you're in pain. This is a medium size muscle strain in this area. It's going to be fussy for about a week, but this is what you do from these days forward. You need to start getting more load in that area. You need to start getting more range of motion in that area. And generally, I know we're not trying to put timelines on stuff, but something like that generally will be about 10 to 14 days until it feels completely normal and back to a similar load, and boom, Bob's your uncle. When it comes to the shoulder, neck stuff, this is super common. Some people, most people, honestly, that especially do high stress jobs or desk work, I mean, everyone is so up here. So just everyone's stress goes northward. There's not a lot of people that get stressed and they're like
down and sink.
No, it's everything is up here. And like when you're under strain and you're trying to force a lot of performance in the gym, everything is this. So when you have this baseline distorted posture, and then you put load, and then you put fatigue and like squirminess, trap levator tweaks, they happen all the time. And when you everyone has one or has had one. It's basically the extent of you slept on your neck wrong immediately. It's usually like, it feels like a 1 or 2 strand, like a piano wire's worth of damage, but you can't turn your head anymore comfortably. And again, people sometimes, if they never experienced that, it's like, oh my God, I just really just fucked up my neck.
My neck. Yeah.
It's like, no. But again, having experience and a steadfast resolve that, okay, these things happen. It is fine. But now for that, those are usually remedied in a couple days. And again, you have to just re-expose it to range of motion and get on with your life. Yeah. So that is like my best offering, is getting people down to ground level immediately when their trauma or their shock goes way up and like, oh my God, I am so fucked. Or same thing with like erector QL stuff. I mean, deadlifts happen, or deadlift injuries happen, and immediately everyone's like, oh my God, I just broke my back. It's like, no, you're fine. It's going to be fussy for a couple of days. It's going to be uncomfortable standing and sitting for a couple of days, but it will be okay. Yeah. You're not dying. I promise you, you're not going to be paralyzed. So that's, from my own experience and just trying to get people confident with those types of scenarios, because again, it's not an if, it's a when. Something is going to happen. And the only other thing that I can really offer clients in terms of what I can relate to, I do a lot of very heavy lifting. And with that, sometimes like tendinopathy and tendonitis can be a thing. It's, if you're really going after it, it's kind of inevitable. I would love to say that there are ways to lift at maximal capacity for all time and not have a joint start to suffer. Yeah. But again, you can rehab it. There's plenty of ways. You yourself has helped me with that and get me back on the path of success with various treatments on my elbows. My elbows specifically are the thing that just likes to be the fussiest. And I have other clients that deal with that. And then we start working on range of motion and stretching. And if I can't do it within my scope of practice, I send them to you. But yeah, it's just part of the process. And a lot of the, okay, you are now injured scenario for me is just often getting their mental state back on ground level. Because thankfully I've never had to deal with a grievous injury. I hope I never do. Yeah. But other listeners, I mean, if they're coming from fucking competitive athletic backgrounds, they could have outright had a bone break. They could have a joint just outright annihilated, like a complete severance dislocation kind of thing. So we're keeping it in a lower stratosphere because of what we ourselves in our lines of work expose us to. But there are bigger injuries. 100%. And that's when, again, you have to ascertain the origin, the severity, and then do you need a proper practitioner sought out to help you circumnavigate this issue? Yeah. And then in full circle scenario, even when you have that grievous of an injury and you do have a practitioner, you have to do the work on the other half of that person subscribes or prescribes to you. Yeah. And just fucking get after it. Yeah. It might be a much longer timeline.
Sure. If you broke 4 bones into multiple directions.
Sure. But the healing work is still the same.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just that it's the same shit in a different stretch of time.
Yeah. So that's my ramble. Sorry.
No, that's good stuff. I had a curveball come to mind because I think it fits into part of the mental, emotional aspect of injury and what you do in that space and time. What would you say to the people who feel like they are just like chronically injured? Like again, I can never catch a break. Everything. They're like, what are your thoughts around that?
It's tough. I mean, finding yourself in like a negative feedback loop is rough. I would say 2 things. If you can't just change your internal monologue to be more positive, I mean, positive self-talk, I, as a jaded person, like almost hate the idea of how effective positive self-talk is, but it is profound.
It is very real.
If you change how you talk to yourself and how you talk about your situation, for me, again, it doesn't compute because like it's maybe just proof that we actually are in a simulation, but just changing how you verbalize things. And again, it's not like if you quite literally say it out loud, there's a difference. And in me, I hate that exists.
That's why I asked you.
I know. But positive self-talk is a very powerful tool at changing your life and the life around you.
Yeah.
And I struggle that it does work, but it does.
Sure.
And if you are chronically injured or find yourself not feeling well, it's not a cure-all, but it will not hurt you to just start talking better about yourself and to yourself.
Yeah, that's great. I think a good exercise, if you're like, man, fuck you for even saying that, like, I am always injured, but it's just my life, whatever. If that's you and you're listening and you want to start to try to counteract some of that, I recommend you go somewhere physically that you like, with visual things that you like, probably somewhere outside if you can, nice open space. Take some paper and a pen and wait until you feel ready to do this. Don't just scribble a bunch of shit out and check the box, but make a list of all of the things that you feel like are right with your body. I'm not talking about like, oh, I wish my ass was fatter, my eye color, like I'm talking about
Same.
I am thankful that I have both arms.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I can see, like a gratitude list of, and see if your wrist pain or like big toe thing or whatever trivial menial thing in comparison doesn't get lost in the tidal wave of words that I hope you can put down. If that feels really hard for you and you're just like, nowhere near that space, mental health counseling is honestly something that you could explore as well. If you just feel so trapped and stuck in this like despair loop mentally, where you're like looking for the suffering and everything, and you're just so convinced that everything always goes wrong for you. This is not either of us saying that it doesn't. It's just more learning how to change the lenses on your glasses, even just for a time. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of value in that. And especially if you are trying to bounce back from an injury, it's really tough to do when you are hyper fixated on any sensation that feels less than remarkable.
Mm-hmm. And again, full transparency and disclosure to anyone listening. Like I said, I still struggle that this concept works as well as it does, because I am just very cynical, hyper logical, and it does seem illogical that something like this is so profound at rewiring your brain and what it can and can't focus on. And I do it now. It took me a long time to get there. And I'm telling you, as a person who practices this now, it is remarkable that I'm pissed at him even saying that, just because the way the logic center in my brain is just like, dude, why? Yeah. Why is that the thing? But it really does change the landscape pretty effectively. But getting into something straight more practical, the way my brain loves, how do we maximize recovery? How do we ensure that shit sticks? Yeah. So, we are doing the work, we are committing to a plan, but when the injury happens and when we have a game plan, what's the best case of execution and making sure the results stick? Yep.
So hit me with it. We want to make sure that you have confidence, clarity, and understanding around what to specifically do for your body in terms of loading and understanding some of that, we'll call it like loading schedule. So you have like a pretty minor strain, like Daniel was talking about, you have like maybe a 2-week timeline. If you just sort of fucked off, even there would be just a clarifying that happens for your body. We don't even want to practice that. We want to start to gradually load in a way that feels safe, that doesn't make you sweat, that doesn't put you into like a fight or flight state. You can sit with discomfort. You can't sit with pain. That is counterproductive. A good rule of thumb that we use in a clinic is if your baseline pain is a 2 today and you do all your exercises and the next morning your baseline pain is a 5, we're still okay. And if in 48 hours, your baseline pain goes back to a 2 or a 3, somewhere less than that 5, we're actually in the sweet spot of like provoking and stimulating the things that we want to be steering for your change to happen. But day 2, let's say that 5 turned into a 6, you did too much, back off. You have to sort of throttle and be your own investigator and detective on what is too much. I don't know. I can sit and get tattooed.
Carmen Sandiego this time.
Right, exactly. I can get tattooed for 10
older
hours.
heads in the room.
But, is that too much for me? Maybe. Is it too much for somebody else? Maybe not. Maybe fucking 5 minutes is too long. Where your pain threshold is and all those things are very important in how you bounce back from that. Your favorite thing on the planet, sleep, I would say become...
Is it just a roast? Is it a subliminal roast of me?
Gratitude, sleeping.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's all love. Sleep is, you want to become like hyper vigilant and aggressive with how much you prioritize making sure that you find a schedule that is giving you a solid night's sleep, lower the temperature, do all the fucking Huberman things besides putting sun on your asshole in the morning, and you should be on the right foot.
I would agree. I mean, rest is going to be your best ally. Making sure that you are still consuming an adequate amount of nutrition. Your body's gonna need a little extra love on the healing process. That's why people often stay sick outside of physical injuries. It's just your body's not getting enough of the stuff it needs to keep your immune system running. Similarly with having tissue regeneration or, fiber aids is just like, your body needs the fuel to fix the shit.
Give it the parts.
And then making sure that your supplementation is also up to snuff. So that's,
make sure you have a support system too along the way.
Yeah, for sure. And have them be, again, more positive talking people and not just like, oh, you hurt yourself. Like maybe you shouldn't have done whatever you're doing. Like, how about you shut the fuck up?
Yeah. See ya, pal.
Yeah. And again, injuries happen. It's okay. But if you have people that rub your nose in it or make you feel shitty about that, it's just like, well, they're not the best, actors in your life. So
yeah, put some fart spray on their pillow, hit them with that pink eye, see how they like that.
Yeah. So that's all I got. And then, our next bit is going to be really leaning into, okay, we've got through the injury process. We are no longer injured in all intents and purposes. How the fuck do we keep it that way?
And enhance
and have a better lease on life after these things happen, because they will happen, but how you choose to navigate them and thrive on the other side of them is really what's going to make the quality of your life as best it can be.
True. We'll see you there, Jar Jar Binks style.
Bye.